Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hamster Business Show. My name is Chris Pastrana, and today we're here with Tim Shank, the professional fan. How's it going, Tim?
Oh, it's going wonderful, Chris. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So, I've been telling people for a while about this, and I've mentioned you a lot to a lot of people because I love the idea of a professional fan. I think it's hysterical. So, let's get some history. I want to know where it started, how, all of it.
Well, it started about 35, maybe 36 years ago, 1982, in July. I was born on a really hot summer day. Oh, you mean the business?
Yeah.
Of course. Well, it originated out of a desire from myself to want to contribute to the success of people who I really respected and admired. After working several different jobs, being in that corporate world, I felt a need to want to use my gifts and talents to help other people who had great gifts and talents and were also good people. That I could be an advocate for people who I felt really deserved to have that success.
Yeah.
To contribute to that's one of the biggest honors. The idea that make one of my dreams being able to help other good people realize theirs.
Yeah. Okay. So, that's pretty quick. So just make sure I got that right. You're helping other people become the real them. Let me say that. That's probably a good way to approach it.
Exactly. Calling myself a professional fan, I approach myself as I'm your biggest advocate. I'm going to cheerlead and rave about how absolutely amazing you are, and I use my services in that way to help you project that best side of yourself out there to the people who are going to be your core audience, your fan base.
Yeah.
I help you become your biggest fan. So I'm bringing out this positive in you so that you can see it and that you will confidently present that out into the world too. And you'll get your raving fans, the people who want to buy from you, the people who will talk you up to other people who might be your ideal client, the people who will just see you as the rock star of your field, literally. So that they are the people who will want to buy from you. They'll want to have your poster on their wall. They want to wear you pajamas. That level.
That'll be interesting, because I don't want to even think about pajamas with my face on it would look like. That'd be kind of crazy.
You don't want to think about Chris pajamas?
No,
Pastrana pajamas?
That'd be a little weird.
I don't know.
So what? This is an interesting area to get into because when we talk entrepreneurship and self-sabotage and all these things that are actually very common in the entrepreneurial world, you're directly trying to counter a lot of these things because that really bad inner voice that we often get stems from a lot of things you're trying to fight, and I like that. It's a really good approach for stepping out and trying to help other people up.
I'm helping people who are fighting the same battles that I've fought.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of my life wearing other people's hats. A good way to put it. And as you can see, I'm a person that really has to wear hats a lot of times. But a lot of those hats that I was wearing were not mine. They didn't fit well. They didn't look genuinely me.
Yeah.
I was doing things because I was told that this was the right path. And I found some success, some fulfillment. Not to say it was always miserable, but I felt limited. I felt like I wasn't fully utilizing all my God-given talent.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was squandering it. And that I was doing a disservice to myself and to the world around me, to the people who I was really called to serve by squandering it. By not showing people my full self.
Yeah.
So I want to help now, and now I get to help people do that themselves.
Yeah, it must be. It's a really good, like I said, it's probably a good thing, good area, good feeling to help people kind of guide them through that struggle and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes, and some of the things that they really struggle with are. It's not even that it's not necessarily a case of not loving yourself, but it's worrying about how other people are going to see you. Mm-hmm. You can feel very, very confident in front of a mirror, talking to your best friend, talking to your close people in your inner circle, but then you go out into networking and you go out into business events and you present yourself, you go for an interview, you put yourself on I don't know, Facebook Live, or you're about to speak to an audience, and then you're right back in high school when you're the new kid and you're scared that, oh my god, what if they don't like me, or what if the cool kids don't like me? I really want the cool kids to like me. And you having those jitters and that tension.
Yeah.
Take it from somebody who was that shy, scared kid throughout his teenage years.
I think everyone has those feelings sometimes, and I've been there. They're like, when I was getting ready to start the show, I was like, oh, man, does anyone really want to listen to me talk for, hours or whatever? Like, can you even really do this? And it just, all those thoughts just spiral out of control, and eventually it either paralyzes you in fear and you can't do anything, or eventually you're just like, never mind, I can't do it, and you just stop. So it's good to see a force out there helping against that.
Well, we all have those moments, like you said. Yeah. And sometimes we do say that. We say, you know what, screw this. I can't do this. I quit. It's just too much. And it's okay to honor that. It's okay to have that. Let it out. Let out your feelings of, you know what, I just really want to quit. That doesn't mean that you actually quit. Mm-hmm. It means that you're allowing that feeling to be let out. It's not left bottling up and bothering you and stewing up. Yeah. But then after you've let it out, you can step back and look reasonably and see, well, is it really a good idea for me to quit right now, or is there really a lot more that I need to be doing?
Yeah. And so out of a lot of things you've said, I really like the point you just made. It's okay to admit that you feel bad. Like, I often see, especially I don't want to say anything bad about the coaching industry, but a lot of times there's this push to be just super positive. Everything's positive. Everything's good. If you feel negative at all, that's a bad thing. It's like, no, these things are real. They're real emotions. They're real feelings that your body's trying to tell you something, right? They have to be addressed.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of people very successful in that coaching world, people who have personally mentored me, who will absolutely agree with you on that. There's that pressure to be, super happy Peter or Penny positive all the time. Yeah. And that you only show what people call the highlight reel on your social media. And you never talk about the struggles, and you can't show weakness, because if you show weakness, then people aren't going to trust you as a leader, and they're not going to work with you. And I'm like, that is complete bullshit. People will trust you more if you're honest. Yeah. That you admit that, hey, I'm just like you. I struggle with these things. I put my pants on one leg at a time like you do, and sometimes I fall down trying to put on those pants because there's just a lot going on. Yeah. And honesty and vulnerability are starting to come back into style, and which is wonderful for my business, which is all about helping you express your true self. Yeah. That doesn't mean that you always only talk about your struggles. Yeah. It's sort of the difference between being bubbly and happy all the time and being miserable and depressed all the time. What's the line? What's the line between Rainbow Bright and Daria?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's a very important area to be able to deal with. And especially if you're in a position where you're a public figure, you're trying to portray yourself as professional, being able to honestly say, yeah, I feel miserable today, it was awful. This is how I'm coming back from it, is like huge. And again, with someone like you in there, helping them, pushing them in that direction, showing them how to do that honestly, it's important.
It's that classic story of triumph coming out of tragedy. Yeah. You were down at one point, but then you figured out a way through it, and you're not perfect. Not everything bad has gone away, but you're dealing with it. You've gotten better, and you're pushing along, and you're coming out of it a better person than you were when you entered the situation. Yeah. And those are the stories that I like to tell when I do. One of my services is web content for about pages on websites, sales pages, social media, what is traditionally known in the marketing world as copywriting. I absolutely freaking hate that word, and we can get into why later. But one of my favorite things to do in that service is the about page. I love telling the stories of how people got to where they are right now. To own where you are right now as you go towards where you want to be, but also looking back and seeing how you got here. And letting your audience know, why do I have this business? Because these things happened in my life, and these were the points of my life that inspired me to want to do this for other people.
Yeah.
It tells something that is beautiful and fascinating, and when people read that story, that's where they say, you know what, I really relate to what they've been through. I would definitely want to talk to them. I would want to work with them if what they sell is something that I need, or I would recommend them to someone who needs that.
Yeah. Yeah. And in today's 24/7 social media, completely online world where they can literally look you up at any time, and being a real person is, like you said, it's starting to come back in style, which is kind of sad to say, and it's something that shouldn't go out of style.
It shouldn't, but there's always the pressure to wear the masks, to not show weakness, to never show pain, to never show struggle, or on the opposite, only show the pain and the struggle.
Yeah.
There's pressure on the other side to not show your success.
Yeah.
That, if you show when you've done something awesome, when you boast about your talents, when you talk about things that you've achieved, then that looks like bragging.
Yeah.
Then you look fake, and you might make other people feel insecure about themselves if you're showing how successful you are.
Yeah.
That might be too intimidating. That's the other side of the horrible false narratives that we get fed.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So we're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna get word from our sponsors in, so everyone be right back. It's amazing. Every day I'm losing more weight. Every week I'm seeing that scale drop. Down almost 25 pounds, 30 pounds now. And I'm feeling great. As I said last week, my health results are phenomenally better from all my tests. So head over to anyexponential.com/ideal to get started today. It's not hard, and you can change your life. You mentioned you hate the word copywriting. So let's get into that a little bit. What's your personal dilemma with the word?
All right. Well, not to knock anybody in the field who uses it. Just make that clear. I'm not saying, well, if you use this, you're a bad person. It's just, for me, it doesn't feel very aligned with how I do things.
Yeah.
Just that word that begins at copy. You hear copy, I think of something that is not original, something that's duplicating something else, or just transcribing. And when I do something, I'm not just transcribing, I'm not just duplicating something. I'm creating something with my client that is original and unique to them because it's based in their story, it's based in their personality. I take the time before any content projects, still happen, but before any of these projects, I take the time to talk to the client and get to know that story. I hear key things about who they are, what they've been through in life, something about their philosophy towards life and business. And I take very detailed notes about all of those things, and I create content for about pages, for sales pages, for social media, for any of it that is based in that story, that's based in the things that client has told me. So in a way, it's a collaboration, it's a creation of the both of us, myself and the client. I take what they've told me, I put it out there so it still is reflecting their voice, but I also amplify it with what I see in my own observation and my interpretation as an attentive outside observer. The things that are true, but not something that you would necessarily see yourself because it's not physically possible for us to look inward.
Yeah. Nice. Earlier, well, not earlier, this was probably before the entire interview started, you mentioned you have a particular group of people that kind of get a lot of your attention. So let's go into that a little bit, since that's a lot of your brand and your style and all that.
Bald geeky entrepreneurs, because
Yeah.
one's like me. people who like 80s hair metal. People who like to blow bubbles in front of an audience. That is something that I've done. But no. But in all seriousness, I know what you're talking about, and that is I've recently taken a special focus. Well, I can't even say that I've taken a special focus, because this has been the audience that has been the most responsive to my message since I put it out there, and that's been women in business, female entrepreneurs, business owners, women in what I call the business building fields, financial advisors, realtors, real estate, mortgage loans, any sort of sales position where you don't necessarily own the business, but you have to work and act almost like you do. You're constantly having to build your own leads, build new relationships. You're the face of the product or the company, and all sales and all income that you get are driven by your actions. So you're still in that entrepreneurial mindset. And for me, this is a huge honor to be able to connect with that level of an audience. As you know, here in New Hampshire especially, there's a growing female entrepreneur market. There's a lot of changing the face of business, a lot of amazing women out there in business. Some of them have been mentors to me as I've been building this as well. And now, you would just really have to be an idiot to not want to tap into that and want to support that market. But also, for me, it's personal and in a way emotional. I've always really strongly valued strong, compassionate women in my life, and I believe that they bring something very unique to the table in business. There's compassion, there's a level of nurture, and a fun side that they're not afraid to show. That brings a lot of personality and heart. And when they're at the table with us, it tells us, hey, it's okay for you to be this way too. It's okay for you to have a heart-centered approach in your work, and also in how you build community around you. So for me to be able to do this, in a way, for me, it's giving back. It's me saying, I've been given so much by awesome women that using my gifts and talents to support you, help you step into the leaders that you're meant to be, and also that you get to succeed as your genuine self, not what anybody else tells you should be. And it's a blessing for me to be able to do that.
So I wrote down a question. I don't remember why I wrote it down, but I essentially said why. And I think it was something along the lines of, what do you think about New Hampshire or this market that's producing so many female entrepreneurs? Like, I've seen a lot of the people that reach out to me on the show are female entrepreneurs, either just leaving the corporate world or very, very young and picking up like a side job or something, and they're budding entrepreneurs even from a young age. And I do get a lot of females.
Well, New Hampshire in general has just always been this breeding ground for new ideas and new approaches. So we're always really the standout state in New England. If you compare, you can cross the borders into Massachusetts and Maine, and you can see a difference. Not to say that we're better than the others. Well, I grew up here, so maybe I'm saying we're a little bit better. But we're very, I would say, a friendly, relaxed type of community, that it's not surprising to see that idea of, well, we can be a really good hub for a heart-centered style of business. And that it would be female entrepreneurs who lead that way.
It's pretty cool. Like I said, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, where it's such a small market too. Like, when you think about just New Hampshire, it's not very big, and everyone I talk to knows pretty much every other entrepreneur I've ever spoken to on the show. So there's a huge connected market here, and it's fun to see, and especially with a lot of the female entrepreneurs are very tight. And so you get a lot of the same groups I see bleed over quite a bit.
Yeah, well, that's something that I've been learning about. That they're focusing on community over competition,
Yeah.
on supporting each other. That you probably see it a lot on social media, the women supporting women, and that tribe, and that when we support each other, everybody prospers. And having that mindset spill over for us is a very positive thing in my view.
Yeah.
That to get us us guys being around that, getting us out of that cutthroat mindset that we grew up with in our professional lives.
Well, yeah, maybe not get out of it, but definitely temper it a little bit. Because there's definitely something about, being an entrepreneur and maybe not being as cutthroat as that, but, I think they benefit each other a lot.
Yeah. The idea that there's always room in the pool for everybody.
Yeah.
That you don't necessarily have to focus on eliminating the competition.
Yeah.
And that there can be a lot of people in different fields. I've had clients who are in similar fields.
Yeah.
I don't say, oh, well, you're the first. Well, I've already worked with a social media consultant, so I can't work with you.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. I believe that everybody in a field is going to resonate with a different base of clients.
Yeah.
So it's beneficial to have everybody out there and prospering so that they can reach that part of the audience that is meant for them.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I like it. Cool. Yeah, we're getting right to the end of that. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on? I know we talked about your things. I thought you would say you had some new things coming that I know you wanted to mention a little bit, very vaguely.
Yes, kind of like when you're advertising the next big Marvel blockbuster. I'm teasing a little bit, not ready to put out the full trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am starting to expand this professional fan brand, and there'll be some new, fun, unique services coming out. I'm planning to do live events. My website I am planning to launch next month.
Awesome.
So keep an eye out for that. And right now, for people who are interested in working with me, the two things that I do are the content writing side, and also as a coach, I do personal brand coaching, is what I call it. And that is focused on helping you figure out how to express your best self out there. So I take that saying of perception is reality, and I want to help create a perception out there for you that matches your best reality.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, and there are, like I said, cool things coming, so just keep an eye. Watch my social media. Best way to do that is to follow a hashtag on Instagram called ShankNATO. Hashtag ShankNATO will take you to all my social media stuff. It's a branding hashtag that I use. It started out as a nickname in the gym.
Yeah.
ShankNATO just represented my journey that I was starting to get better in health and fitness.
Yeah.
And reflecting on it a little further, I realized, you know what? When I talk about ShankNATO, there's an extra power added to it. This is representative of me at my best, my most fully self-confident, self-loving, fully in my power. So I think that ShankNATO represents anybody else to get to their best self. So I use that, and I attach that power to anybody that I come across and anybody who I work with.
Yeah. Pretty good. Awesome. So people that want to reach out to you, schedule some services, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can find me, again, follow the hashtag ShankNATO. On Facebook, I'm Tim Shank Professional Fan on Facebook, or the link is facebook.com/ShankNATO. And I'm also on Instagram. Instagram is Tim.Shank, Tim.Shank. I actually wanted to call my Instagram ShankNATO, but someone snatched it and is barely using it. So
That's too bad.
If anybody out there in viewing this who's an expert in how to take over abandoned Instagram accounts, please reach out to me, because I would love to get my hands on that name. And also you can email me, shanknato@gmail.com at any time. Well, within reason.
Yeah.
If I get an email at 3 a.m., I'm not responding to it right away.
Yeah. All right, cool. So thank you so much for joining me. I had a lot of fun. I've always been, as soon as I found out about you, I'm like, I gotta know what a professional fan is. So it's a nice little area to see.
Yeah, well, the best way to really describe it is somebody who is the biggest advocate for the best people in the community. And I would really love to credit the independent music community for being the ones who influenced Professional Fan, because it was when I started supporting people in the local and independent music scenes that this came about. People saw me as the super fan, the very supportive fan.
Yeah.
And it spilled over to the business community, business networks, even businesses around town saw me as their super fan, their fanboy.
Yeah.
So I decided, you know what? Time to just own that. That's my brand. That's how people see me, and go with it.
Yeah. Pretty good. I like it. Thank you. It's been a good day. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. And we're going to have the last word from our sponsors. So everyone have a great day. If you're ready for a new website, head over to ninspiciousshow.com/zimventures to get started with your new website today.